All right, give them ranch. How about the Commanders? Offensively, this is what's interesting about this football team is that they really refuse to run the football. They refuse to run the football to the point that they put their first-year starter, Sam Howell, in a lot of bad situations.
See, their play caller is a former running back. He even knows it's pointless to run the ball.
I know, but the thing about it is they're second in the league in sacks. So they're dealing with that. They're second in the league.
If they're second, who the heck is first?
Giants.
Okay, the Giants have been sacked more.
Giants have been sacked more.
That makes sense.
So, but the problem, to me, the problem is this team is capable of running the football. I mean, capable of being more balanced. Put it that way.
They don't have to drop back 50 times.
No, they shouldn't. But I get it. I get what they're trying to do here. They've attempted the most passes in the league. They're going to play 11 personnel. They've completed the most passes. They've attempted the most passes. Their receivers create the fourth most separation of any other team in the league. So I understand what they're doing, trying to get the ball to their playmakers, but they've got a couple of good backs that can run the ball, and they struggle on the left side of their offensive line blocking people for pass protection. So this game, if the Commanders are not interested in running the ball, Charles Leno and Chris Paul on the left side of that offensive line are going to give up 8 sacks in this game, especially the way that the Cowboys can win one-on-one, and then they play their twist games and their movement games. Because the Commanders on that left side of that offensive line cannot handle any of that. So if you're Eric Bieniemy and on a short week and you want to come out and just throw the ball, they're capable. They're absolutely capable of doing this. But to me, this doesn't help their quarterback in this game. You're asking them to block a pass rush that will destroy them if they just drop back and throw the ball as much as they have.
Maybe the entire front four defensively for the Cowboys end up getting the turkey leg MVP.
Could be. That back in the day with Madden, the turducken they used to have, they used to pin like legs onto the turkey, extra legs.
6.
Might need to do it because but the thing, and I'm not being crusty guy here with the Commanders, but to me, Bryan Broaddus, and we'll see if Antonio Gibson plays in this game, but they've got 2 capable backs to run the ball here in this game. And they average damn near 4.7 yards a carry running it, but they run it the least amount of time of anybody in the league.
It sounds like Eric Bieniemy is sabotaging Ron Rivera so he can get the job. This looks like an old Jason Garrett storyline.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing not running the ball?
It's the long play here for Bieniemy.
They're putting
how have you not fired this guy already?
No,
I mean, my gosh.
Well, enough of being coordinator.
Well, Terry McLaurin, when you look at their receivers, like Terry McLaurin, of all like those Ohio State guys that have come in the league and played at a very high level, Terry McLaurin is probably the most overlooked, underappreciated guy for all that he's had to deal with at quarterback play for the Commanders. He by far, he's now Dallas has done a really good job of defending him. A lot of that was with Diggs. Diggs has done a good job the last couple of years of dealing with him.
It's all right. Here's Deron Bland.
We'll see with Deron Bland. Absolutely. But Jahan Dotson and McLaurin, those are the guys that are primary receivers. Again, a lot of 11 personnel, ball going down the field. The thing that I would keep an eye on, guys, is Logan Thomas, the tight end.
Yeah.
Okay, because Kearse showed up on the injury report with didn't practice with some back tightness or back problems. Now does that turn into, okay, Kearse can't go, or does that mean that Kearse is dealing with the problems in the game? You're going to see Wanye Thomas. I'm okay with seeing Wanye Thomas.
Me too.
But Logan Thomas is a 6'6" tight end that plays down the field, runs the crossing routes. They do a lot of the same things the Cowboys do with the boots and those waggles where they get in space. They tie it in space, bring him across, and just kind of flip him the ball and let him run. So
yeah, he's a good tight end.
He's a good tight end. So
scooped him in one of my leagues.
Yeah. So how they play, this is going to be a challenge for Kearse, Wilson, whoever has to deal with Logan Thomas in this football game.
If this ends up being the Logan Thomas game, that lives on in infamy forever, I'm going to be ticked off. Come on. Don't let Logan Thomas be the reason why.
Well,
don't let him be the reason.
You know what it might be? You know what the difference in this game might be? Eric Bieniemy just not wanting to try and run the ball.
Well, it does
because he is going to get his quarterback hurt if they continue to play the way they are in this football game.
Does Sam Howell do much in the way of running, scrambling, that kind of deal?
He's one of those guys that has that ability to break pocket and run. And he's kind of a tough. He's got some Dak Prescott traits to him. When I say this in a complimentary way, that where there's runs with toughness, runs with purpose, kind of plays the game in a kind of a mauler brawler way. He's that type of guy. So you'll see him break pocket and run, but you'll also see him not protect the ball at all. He'll throw the ball up, and you're like going, man, that one's not coming back.
I got to think the over/under for his turnovers in this game. What would you guys think on the props?
2.5.
2.5.
It's got to be 2.5.
Yeah,
especially as much as they're throwing it. I keep saying that, but this team on a short week, they might come in here and feel like, you know what, Carolina had a little success running the ball. A lot of it was Dallas's self-inflicted, not filling in gaps, getting turned, getting washed, all those terms I use.
Yeah.
When Dallas plays square and plays downhill, they can play great run defense. They don't give up a 100-yard rusher. But these guys have got a couple of backs that can legitimately run the football, and Bryan Robinson's one of them.
Yeah, he's been the best B. Robinson running back all season long in the NFL. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought that? But yeah, this is Eric Bieniemy can go a couple of different ways here. He could really hurt his team by his play calling, or he could try and help a young quarterback because they can't block you on the left side of that offensive line. I'm telling you right now. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Commanders' defense here, and you really have to worry about a couple of different players. Actually, 2 defensive tackles, and then you have to worry about their secondary. I feel like they've got a couple of players that can cause you a little problems. Their linebacker, Jamin Davis, I feel like is a pretty good player. Dallas does a good job of playing against him, kind of a filler, kind of a plugger, kind of a guy that can get a little bit of a sideline-to-sideline game for you, though. Kind of some pop when he plays. But I do feel like, though, that the defensive tackles are really where this Washington team is going to try and affect the Cowboys. When you look at Daron Payne and you look at Jonathan Allen, those are the 2 guys. And we were talking with Zach Martin earlier. This is difficult to deal with. This division has guys that
best defensive tackles in the league.
Best defensive tackles, and so it turns into every week you're having to deal with these guys. But I just the amount of power and quickness and explosiveness that these 2 guys play with, though, they will try and wreck your game inside. There's no question about it. And then, like I mentioned, with Davis behind them, he's able to make some plays. So they're going to have to. Last week, I felt like that this was one of Tyler Biadasch's best game. You've got Tyler Smith. He's got some power. But it's going to come down to how the Cowboys can handle the 2 inside guys with their 3 inside guys, with Zach, Biadasz, and then Tyler Smith being able to get that done.
It's a shame they haven't been able to build anything around those guys. Those are championship defensive tackles.
They are clearly championship defensive tackles. In the secondary, Benjamin St-Juste, I think when you watch him, the corners that the Commanders play with, St-Juste is a guy that gets attacked quite a bit, but he leads the team in passes defense. He's got 15 of them, and he's number 25 when you watch him play. He's a sticky man coverage type of a player, and you'll see the Commanders will run about 35% man coverage, one of the higher teams in the league when it comes to that. So be alert of Benjamin St-Juste having to maybe travel a little bit with CeeDee Lamb. Kendall Fuller on the other side is a really, really good player. He's another one of those guys that gets his hands on a lot of football. They have the rookie Emmanuel Forbes. He's only made 4 starts this year. He's really a kind of a thinly built guy, but he is a guy that can stay with his man. So their secondary has guys that can play man coverage. When they play the man coverage, you're going to get some type of blitzing as well. But you got to be able to control those 2 inside defensive tackles. If you don't do that, then the Cowboys are going to have a hard time running the ball and maybe even throwing the ball some with some inside pressure with those two.
Man, that's a tremendous report. The thing I like the best was what you said about the offense earlier. They're getting 4.5 yards an attempt. Sam Howell can really run, but they're not running it. And that, I think, is the trend that we need Eric Bieniemy to stick to this week, because if they come out committed to run and running with their quarterback, I do think Washington could win this game, Brian. Is that a crazy statement?
That's not a crazy statement at all. I mean, they've been in every game they played. Micah Parsons was talking about that in his podcast, and he's absolutely right. The thing is, though, they'll throw the ball, and what happens is Sam Howell will make mistakes. And you got to be ready for that when he does. But if they come out committed, and maybe on a short week, we might see them run the ball, especially after looking at the way that Carolina had a little success with some of the problems that the Cowboys had with their fits, positioning, and some of the finish with the tackle.